Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us for a product tour of the NovoEd Collaborative Learning Platform. We really appreciate you being here and are excited to inform you further about NovoEd and kind of walk you through exactly what our platform looks like and what it can do for you and your organization. Before we dive in, I would just like to take a moment here to give you a brief overview of GoToWebinar in case anyone is unfamiliar with this platform. Please note that you are all on mute and you can use your control panel as you see here on the right-hand side of this slide to submit questions at any time during the tour. We'll respond to questions as they come in, and we are going to be stopping for Q&A a couple of times throughout, and we would love to make this product tour as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions, comments, please send them our way. We'd love to engage with you. At the end of this webinar, an exit survey will pop up. If you could just take a few moments at the end to provide us with some feedback so that we can continue to improve our webinar program, that would be greatly appreciated. Lastly, I do want to mention that this webinar is being recorded, so if you would like to rewatch it or share it with a colleague, you will be receiving the recording tomorrow morning via email, so please just keep an eye out for that. I would like to take a moment here to introduce both myself and my colleague, Juan Moran. My name is Jessica, and I am the marketing manager here at NovoEd, and I'm joined by our solutions consultant, Juan Moran. Juan is a seasoned education technology consultant for mobile, SaaS, and on-premise software solutions, analyzing business problems and offering strategies and tools to solve them. Currently, Juan serves as an expert and evangelist on using the NovoEd platform capabilities and technology to create high-impact learning experiences.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Great. Thanks, Juan. Thanks for being here. So for today's agenda, we'll go ahead and begin with an overview of NovoEd and our platform features before we dive into the demo of our collaborative learning platform, which is going to be led by Juan. At the end, as well as throughout, we are going to be pausing for questions. So again, please just send them our way, and we'll be happy to answer. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with NovoEd, our collaborative learning platform empowers organizations to design and deliver experiential learning that accelerates business performance on a global scale. Since our company's founding at Stanford Social Algorithms Laboratory in 2012, global corporations, executive education providers, and training firms have relied on NovoEd to develop high-value capabilities through purposeful practice and application, coaching and mentorship, as well as group collaborations, which are some of the things that Juan will actually be walking us through today. NovoEd's proven approach to learning really connects diverse groups of learners, mentors, and leaders in a high-impact online environment, which helps unlock your organization's collective knowledge and drives measurable outcomes. We were acquired by Fidelity in 2018 as part of their ed tech strategy. And some of the customers we work with, as you can see here, include Kraft Heinz, IDEO, Chevron, GE, as well as Stanford. Before we dive any deeper, I'm just going to pause right here to launch a quick poll. We'd love to hear from you all. So you should see something pop up on your screen asking you which types of strategic training initiatives is your organization planning on moving online or expanding online. And just note here that you can select multiple. If you happen to have one that's not listed here, please go ahead and select the other, and you can use the chat box to let us know what we may have missed on this slide. So leave it open for just a couple more seconds here, maybe 15 to 30 seconds that you can respond. Thank you, everyone who has responded so far. I'll leave it open for 5 more seconds. Wonderful, thank you. So I'm going to close the poll and share the results with you. So these are very interesting results. When we've asked this question, we actually asked it earlier this week in another product demo that we did, and leadership training was by far the highest. As you can see, leadership training, innovation, change training are neck to neck here. And this is actually very in line with what we've been hearing, what we've been seeing in the space. Obviously, given the pandemic that's happening in the world, there is a need for leadership training as well as the need to upskill employees. So thank you everyone for your participation in this poll. Our platform is optimized for collaborative learning with a single place to learn and connect. Our consolidated platform accommodates both live virtual events as well as guided self-directed resources and learning. The NovoEd platform really replicates the core value of in-person learning and provides the engagement and impact of in-person programs in an online modality through peer interaction, project work, and mentor connection. This modern learning experience that we provide is highly engaging and drives frequent and deep connections with colleagues and among teams. Throughout the learning journey, which you'll see today, learners are tasked with practicing and applying new skills with feedback from peers and mentors to reinforce key themes and objectives. Lastly, through the use of user profiles, messaging, and group interaction, this helps foster accountability, sparks lasting relationships, and helps drive deeper connections. Through collaborative capabilities, which is what I just recently talked about on the previous slide, we help you deliver powerful, engaging learning experiences that really address your most prevalent organizational challenges and facilitate positive behavior change. Some use cases for our platform include digital transformation, leadership development, functional upskilling, diversity and inclusion, as well as employee onboarding. And while it's not listed on this slide, I do want to mention that we are partnering with organizations for sales enablement, as well as innovation and design thinking. And those are some popular use cases that we've been seeing as of lately. So we realize that there are a lot of learning technology solutions out there, and I just want to give you a sense of where we fit into the learning ecosystem. This slide may look a little familiar to you since it's a version of Josh Burson's technology stack. The NovoEd, for anyone who's unclear, is focused squarely on delivering high-impact learning experiences that really bring people together to collaborate on learning. We can integrate into other parts of your ecosystem, so NovoEd learning experiences can actually be accessed through your LMS or LXP, and you can bring in existing content and various learning objects that you have built internally or have access through content subscriptions, and one will be walking through that as well. So with that all said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague who's going to walk you through a live demo of the NovoEd Collaborative Learning Platform. And we will be stopping a couple of times to answer questions. So if anything comes to mind, please use the chat box to let us know.
Sounds great. Thank you for that, Jessica. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. As Jessica was saying, we want to keep this interactive. So I am going to pause to take some questions. What we're going to do is take a look at the NovoEd platform from a few different perspectives. So first, I'll show you what learners see. We'll take some questions. Then I'll show you what a coach or mentor could see and utilize to support learning. And we'll take some more questions. And then I'll show you a little bit of the admin experience, particularly analytics and a little bit of our authoring tools. So you can see what is it like to build a learning journey or learning program on the NovoEd platform. And we'll take some more questions. So let's get started. I'm logged in right now as a learner named Leah Tan. And this is the very first thing she sees when she comes into our platform. It's a learning dashboard. And it's like her home base for everything she's doing on the NovoEd platform. So you can see things like every learning program or learning journey she's participating in. Thanks for submitting what you're going through and what you're trying to accomplish in the poll there. Actually, a lot of our customers are also supporting leadership development programs like Leah's program here, Leading Virtual Teams, as well as innovation programs. She's also participating in an innovative problem-solving program as well. In fact, a lot of our customers are doing things like design thinking on our platform. In fact, IDEO, their IDEO University, is powered by the NovoEd platform. And as Jessica was showing you, we do support a lot of other use cases. Popular amongst our customers today would be like onboarding, upskilling. It could be diversity and inclusion. We tend to support learning use cases that really require a deeper learning experience where perhaps there are nuances and a lot of things you want to do to accomplish building capabilities within your people. And that could be a mix of like emotional intelligence, constructive feedback. How do you do that? Or how do you collaborate effectively with people on a project, for example? So what we're going to take a look is how do we actually support those use cases for learners like Leah on our platform. So let's take a closer look here. Now, as we're going through the NovoEd platform, you're going to see that a lot of what we're doing is asynchronous, but we do have the ability to support synchronous learning too. In fact, you'll see at the top here, Leah has a notification letting her know that there is a kickoff meeting taking place right now. There's a Join Now button she can click on, and she can jump right into that meeting. So she's basically using NovoEd as the launch pad to go into those real-time virtual meetings with peers, with facilitators. It could be an ongoing webinar series, but teams, groups, they can also have their own virtual meetings and launch them right from here. We actually have an integration with Zoom, so we can automate tracking attendance and providing a recording of the Zoom session in your NovoEd program. But we have also customers using other meeting tools like Microsoft Teams or Skype or something else as well. Now, Leah does have the opportunity to personalize her experience here. So for instance, she could do things like adjust her email preferences. In fact, a lot of our customers love that we send emails to learners. They can actually use those emails as calls to action to give them updates, let them know feedback's available, let them know an assignment deadline is coming up and you haven't finished your assignment. We want to give you a friendly reminder. Now, we actually provide you the filters you could use so you could send those targeted messages to specific people. Now, another way to personalize the experience is to offer learners and other users like Leah the opportunity to even change the language on the NovoEd interface. So we support 10 different languages today: English, Spanish from Latin America, as well as from Spain, French, Portuguese from Portugal, as well as from Brazil, simplified Chinese, Japanese, Korean. Also, we support Russian, German, and also Arabic. I just want to make sure I align there with the proper languages. So we have a lot of customers that are global companies, for example, global organizations. So they love that they can provide those learners abroad, outside of the United States, for example, the opportunity to learn in their first language. Now, there's also the opportunity to engage in as many learning experiences as you'd like too. We kind of provide an all-you-can-eat model for most of our customers, and let's take a look at one of those learning programs could look like. So we're going to go into Leah's leadership development program here. Now the scenario is that Leah is a leader, and she's participating in a paced, cohort-based learning journey here with her peers at a company called NewCo. Now, like everyone else, NewCo is adjusting to everybody working from home with COVID-19 out there. But they're also a large organization, and Leah, for example, is leading a distributed team. So she's learning how to be a more effective virtual leader here as part of this program. Now, she could participate in this program, like I said, with a cohort. So she has access to a learning community. She could see who's been active. She can actually access everyone's profile and get some more information about them. We've even integrated with Facebook and LinkedIn to make it even easier for people to pull in their information. You can also customize these profiles so the learners are sharing specific things that are relevant to the context of the learning. So if it's about leadership development, talk about your leadership experience, for example. Now, there's also the opportunity to see things like training discussions, affinity groups that are available. In fact, groups and teams, they could be set up in advance by your designers or admins, but you can also enable learners to form their own teams and groups. Great for enabling people to reach out to one another, engage, build relationships, especially if they're going to be working together on an ongoing basis after they've completed their NovoEd program. Now, the social community panel there on the right side, it's an easy way to stay up to date on what's happening in your cohort. The center of the screen here has a couple of progress bars, and these provide an easy way to stay up to date on what's happening within your specific program or learning journey. So Leah, as a learner, she can track her own progress. You can see, for example, she's earned 20 points so far. She has to earn a total of 110 in order to complete the program, and she'll automatically receive a certificate of completion when she does that. Now, there are no guessing games as far as what does Leah have to accomplish to complete this program. You could specify specific to-dos, and almost anything could be a to-do on the NovoEd platform. So assignments, for example, are automatically to-dos, but you can make watching a video a to-do, or participating in a discussion, or completing a survey, for example. These are all things that you could set up as mandatory required to-dos, and the learner is going to be able to very easily track her progress, like Leah, as she's getting, momentum towards that certificate. Now, there's even the opportunity to enable a leaderboard. So you'll see some support for gamification as we're going through Leah's learning experience here. It's a great way to introduce some friendly competition, and just one way to keep learners motivated and keep them coming back to learn. Now, below the progress bars, Leah has access to all her different modules. So module 1, module 2 is here. This could be like your week 1 and week 2 module. If it's a face-to-face workshop, it could be your day 1, day 2 curriculum. We've made it really easy to be able to set up your content and activities and make sure that you're setting clear expectations with your learners. So Leah could see like how many minutes of work will it take me to finish this lesson, or is it a certain amount of minutes of watching videos, or like an hour of participating in an interactive webinar, for example. So let's take a look at one of those lessons. We'll go into the first module and its first lesson on remote meeting basics. Now, you'll notice on the left side of the screen, there is an outline of the program here. So Leah's not going to get lost as she's going through that journey on the NovoEd platform. As content and activities become available, that's actually something you can also facilitate as well. For example, you could support a very linear sequential learning experience and set up your modules and your lessons to be released by a specific date and time if you want to follow a schedule. So you can hard code the content, but you can also soft code it. You could have it based on behavior and set up automatic triggers. So for example, perhaps at the end of module 1, someone is going to participate in a team challenge, for example. Once they complete that team challenge, we're going to make module 2 and best practices available, for example. So you also have the ability to set up prerequisites for your learners and guide them through the journey that way. Now, we do support a lot of different types of content on our platform. So for instance, a lot of our customers are using video. And we have also a lot of customers using things like SCORM. Stanford Graduate School of Business uses SCORM a lot. Perkin-Elmer uses LinkedIn Learning a lot, for example. And we can also enable you to make that content even more engaging. You'll notice that video that I just started playing automatically stopped, and it asks a survey question. So you can embed surveys or quizzes within your videos and make them just that much more interactive. Have them engage the learner. You can assess the learner. You can award them points for getting those quiz answers right. You can also award them points just for watching the video, and you can even specify how much of the video did they have to watch in order to get those points, for example, 80%, 90%, you decide. Now, you'll notice after that video, as we're scrolling down this lesson, we see a discussion. So this is a big differentiator about the NovoEd platform. We want to enable you to bring conversations to content and make sure that content is put into context for your specific executive education program or training firm program or your L&D program. So we do have a central discussion area. If you want, you can go there. You can filter for the most popular discussions, the most recent discussions, and that's great. But we want to make sure discussions and other activities are linked to content and also place into the context of how does it really apply in your educational program or in your business, for example. So Leah can engage in a discussion. She can get points for it. You'll notice here she's already responded to a comment before and actually flagged or tagged one of her coworkers, Leticia. So Leticia can get a notification, and she'll know that Leah called her out, mentioned her within a discussion, and then she can follow up on that and respond to it and close the loop if she needs to. Now, as I said, we have customers using a wide variety of different content. Some of them, for example, they just want to use what they have, Word documents, PowerPoint presentations like this one, for example. They just want to make sure those things are easily accessible. So this is a good time for me to clarify that all your content gets displayed in line in the NovoEd lesson. So it's actually difficult to tell whether this was something that was created here, uploaded here, or it lives somewhere else, like a LinkedIn Learning video or Harvard Managed Mentor video. Comcast actually uses a lot of those Harvard Managed Mentor videos. Now, you do have the ability to do the things you're probably doing today, like knowledge checks, for example. So we do have a quiz tool. What's a big differentiator about our quizzes is we actually enable you to set up specific automated feedback for your learners. So I've talked a lot about learning in a cohort. That's what Leah's going through here in this leadership development program. But we also have a lot of customers doing self-guided, self-paced learning. So Kraft Heinz, for example, they do a lot of onboarding on our program. No one is facilitating that NovoEd program, and it never has an end date. It's just one program that's ongoing, and as new employees come in, they go into their onboarding program, and depending on when they got hired, they might be in the program by themselves, but they still have the opportunity to get very specific feedback, as well as learn from the contributions previous learners submitted to things like discussions, for example. Now, another big differentiator about our platform is that in order to support deeper learning, like I was describing earlier, we enable learners to apply what they're learning, get practice, even do a formal rehearsal before they really have to deliver a presentation or lead a meeting, for example. You'll see here, Leah has to engage in an individual challenge where she's going to record a video. So it's a video assignment. She has to record a 30-second video practicing leading a meeting, for instance. Now, Leah could just use whatever video recording software she likes, like QuickTime or Windows Media Player or VLC, and just drag and drop like an MP4 file here, for example. But she also has the option to utilize our mobile app. So that's another big differentiator for our platform, is that we offer a mobile app. It's available for iPhones and Android phones and their respective tablets. And we think it's critical to provide a mobile app for adult learners. They're often on the go. They're often on their phone. So we want to meet them where they are. And there are additional benefits they'll be able to get from our mobile app that they won't get from a mobile browser, like push notifications. Here's a reminder about the webinar. There's also the ability to access offline content. So Leah, for instance, can download readings and other content. And when she doesn't have access to Wi-Fi or any phone service, she could still make progress in her learning program. And she can get the work done here too. In fact, the NovoEd platform always remembers where you left off. So you'll notice the individual challenge, that kickoff call video assignment, it's highlighted right on the home page for Leah. And so she has instant access. And now she's on a device that actually has a built-in camera and microphone. So she can actually just record her video right from here. And we've seen a lot of customers do these video assignments for things like sales enablement, practicing your sales pitch, or onboarding, practice an elevator speech about your new job or a value prop. And what you do with these assignments, whether they're video assignments or something else, submitting a presentation in PowerPoint or images and reflections, you can have the learner, like Leah, automatically get her points. Here she goes. She's going to submit this. We could also send that into a workflow. It could go to someone for approval, like a facilitator, instructor, or manager. You could also have it go into a peer review. So what you're seeing now is actually our submission gallery. And you could use it by itself just to showcase learner work, but you can also utilize it for enabling peer-to-peer learning. So again, we're doing deeper learning. We're asking our learners to do really challenging things. And actually submitting that work may not be the biggest challenge for someone like Leah, because we've gotten a lot of feedback from our customers saying, it's a lot harder to deliver the feedback. You got to critique your peers' work and give them some constructive feedback that they can utilize. So it's a higher level of learning for your learners. So Leah has the ability to see what her learners are doing, and she can submit the feedback. But she can also learn from the feedback others are providing. You'll notice at the bottom, Darren, who's a peer, has also provided some feedback, and Mark is actually a mentor. So he's coaching Leah and others in this program. So he's providing expert level feedback for Leah and everyone else in the cohort. So you have that flexibility. You can certainly learn in your favorite browser on any device or utilize our mobile app. And you can also engage again in even more opportunities to apply, practice, and rehearse what you're learning. So the next thing Leah's going to do is engage in a team challenge. And the biggest differentiator about the NovoEd platform in supporting this small group work is that we provide every team as well as every group, like an affinity group, a dedicated workspace. So this is where Leah and her team members can meet and get the work done. It's like an asynchronous breakout room, So it's a safe place. Only the team members or group members have access to this. We've seen great results in utilizing small group activities like this. So when we look at the data, we notice that there's 5 times more engagement amongst learners when they're participating in teams versus when they're learning in isolation. And we think there are a few reasons for that. They're part of a team. They don't want to let anyone down. So there's that felt accountability. It's also just less intimidating. They're with peers. And again, it's a safe place, so they have an opportunity to take some risk, introduce some new ideas, and they have the opportunity now to get some feedback. And there's a lot of ways to do that here and collaborate with your fellow learners. So you'll notice you can have conversations, you can share links, you can share documents with one another. You can also share work you've already submitted as a learner and make that something that could be shared with your team. I've been showing you a lot of public assignments, for example, but they could also be made private and kept between an instructor and a learner, for example. Now, there's also the ability for those teams and groups, as I mentioned, to have those synchronous meetings. So if they need to meet in real time, they can certainly set up a meeting invitation, provide a link to whatever meeting tool they're using. Here, Jim from Leah's team uses WebEx, so he's provided that WebEx link here. And then the team will get a reminder for when it's time for them to get together and collaborate on their team assignment. So you've seen a lot about how Leah can engage in a learning journey that's interactive, places content into context, enables her to be able to work collaboratively in things like providing feedback to peers, as well as doing project-based learning through things like team challenges. So Leah's getting a lot of support in her learning from her peers and others as well. And that includes her manager who's serving as a mentor. So we're going to look at Mark's experience next, but let's stop and take some questions on the learner experience first.
Thank you so much, Juan. And everyone, thank you for your questions. If you have any questions so far about what you've seen, please go ahead and enter them in the chat box, and we're happy to address them now. Juan, first question for you. All of the feedback that's going through the course, is that all made public, or is there an option to make some of the feedback private as well?
Great question. You have the option to make feedback public or private.
Wonderful, thank you. And is there any maximum number of learners that can be enrolled in any one course at a time?
No, there's actually no limit. And another big differentiator about the NovoEd platform is you could have over 1,000 learners, for example. We've had customers use NovoEd as a MOOC platform with several thousands of learners enrolled in one program. But the nice thing is you could still provide that intimate learning experience using groups and teams.
Great, thank you. And the learning experience that you just showed, it looks like this is branded for NewCo. Can you confirm that the platform can be white labeled or custom branded?
Great. Another great question. Yes, it can be branded. So you'll see, NewCo's logos here. We're using their color scheme as well. You can absolutely brand each individual program, course, or journey. It's actually something Georgia Tech does, for example. They have corporate clients, and they are branding each of those programs with the corporate customer's logo and other branding.
Great, thank you. And then I'm seeing this question just come in from Hamza here. And his question is, can you kind of talk about what the difference is between a platform like Coursera and NovoEd?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I described this a little bit in the beginning of the demo, talking about deeper learning. So there are definitely use cases NovoEd wouldn't be like a good fit for, like compliance training, for example. In fact, a lot of these things are often done in a client's LMS, and we typically integrate with it. So we actually add value to that learning stack that's already being used for learning and development or executive education. And we could have NovoEd talk to a system, like Coursera, and be able to share data like course completion status or automate enrollment. So we support very different use cases. And again, for NovoEd, it's the stuff you would typically do in a workshop or in person because it really requires a lot of give and take between learners. They're going to be sharing their work with one another and providing feedback. It's more than just watching a video and taking a quiz.
Wonderful, thank you. That's all the questions that I'm seeing for this section. Let's go ahead and move on to the mentor section, or experience, I should say, now. And if anyone has questions, please go ahead and send them our way. Thank you.
All right, sounds great. So you got an introduction to Mark. And Mark is Leah's manager. So he has access to the Leading Virtual Teams learning journey here, except because he's set up with a role as a mentor, he has access to a mentor dashboard where he could see everyone he's mentoring. So this could be what an instructor or facilitator sees as they're tracking learner progress and providing support, like approvals on work or feedback. Actually, this is what Comcast supervisors see. At Comcast, supervisors have been matched with their direct reports. And so the supervisors are mentoring their teams here. And so what we've done is just made it really quick and easy for someone who's mentoring or coaching or facilitating or instructing to be able to see where the learners are at. You could see those same progress bars that the learners access from the program or journey. You can also access those profiles and do things like send messages. Maybe Mark wants to give Janice, some really positive remarks about some great work she submitted earlier. Maybe Ben hasn't logged in a while, and Mark wants to give him a nudge over a message. So we could support, very specific targeted messages this way. Now, you can also support workflows. In fact, you'll notice at the top here, we're already providing some analytics for people like Mark who are mentoring. So he could see very quickly if people have logged in or not, if they need comments, or if they need approvals on work. So if Mark just has a few minutes every day to check in on his learners, he'll know exactly who needs what. So Leah, for example, submitted an assignment. It's available to be reviewed and approved. So here's that video assignment from a few minutes ago from Leah. Mark can provide some feedback. Maybe it is really positive, and he decides, you know what? This assignment is actually set up so that my feedback is private, but I can override that. There's actually a checkbox here. I want to share with everyone that I really liked what Leah did here, and I could provide some more details about what she did that worked. Now, I can also send her more constructive feedback. Maybe, it would be helpful if she included an agenda just to kind of set the stage for where she was going with her meeting presentation there. So I can just say, hey, please add an agenda. And you'll notice at the bottom, I've got an approve button as Mark, as well as a send back for revision button. So Mark can just click on that if he wants Leah to revise her work. She'll now get a notification, could be on her phone, for example, in the mobile app, and she'll know she's supposed to review and resubmit, and she can easily see Mark's feedback too. Now that's an example of how we could support some informal feedback. There's also the opportunity to formalize, provide structure to the way you collect feedback. So if you'd like, you can also create formal evaluation forms where you could set up the specific criteria that you need for evaluating your learner's work. So actually anyone can access this. Mark's going in to be an evaluator, but this could be an instructor or facilitator or even another learner. We anonymize the feedback, so that's private feedback that's going back to the learner. And we make it easy to do this. So perhaps you're joining us from a higher ed institution. You probably think this looks a lot like doing grading. It is similar. You do have the opportunity to see in just a bird's eye view. What do we ask the learner to do? What did the learner submit? And then how are we going to evaluate the learner? That way, if you need to collect certain metrics about the learner's progress to make sure they're really learning what they're supposed to learn, you could do that. You could even pull that data into another system like your student information system or your HCM, for example, for additional analysis, or for the purpose of making sure all of that information is kept in one system of record too. So there's the opportunity to collect data exactly the way you need it as well. So let me pause there and see if there are any questions about the mentor experience.
Great, thanks, Juan. I'm only seeing 2 questions right now. First question is, how are mentors assigned in the course?
Oh yeah, there are actually a few different ways to do it. You can just do it manually if you just have a few alignments to do, but you also have the ability to do assignments in batch. You can import a spreadsheet like a CSV file, for example. We also support APIs. There are ways we can automate it from a system of record like your LMS or HCM.
Great, thank you. The second and last question about mentors that I'm seeing here is, are you able to have multiple mentors, or does one person only have one mentor?
Oh, you can have as many mentors as you'd like, and a mentor, and you can actually have a different setup than even what I'm describing. So, for example, just to illustrate this, the Obama Foundation has sort of a proxy mentor account. So there are multiple mentors actually taking turns helping hundreds of learners at a time. So it doesn't have to be Mark specifically. It could be mentor A or B. I'm sure you can come up with a more interesting name for that proxy mentor. But yeah, there are a lot of different ways you could support mentors, and people can certainly have as many mentors as you'd like to give them.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Juan. Let's go ahead and move into the last section of this demo. And again, if anyone has questions, please share them with us. We're more than happy to answer them.
Yeah. So let's take a look at that third experience. You've seen what learners and mentors experience on the NovoEd platform. Now we're going to take a look at the admin experience, and we're going to look at 2 specific things. Now, Denise here is our learning experience designer. So she built this program, and she's facilitating it. And so as an admin, she has access to things like analytics. We support analytics actually at 2 different levels. At the org level, so you can see data across your programs, journeys, courses, as well as at the actual program or course or journey level. So that's what you're seeing right now, an analytics dashboard for a specific program. Now here you can get another bird's eye view of how many people do we have enrolled, how many people have completed the program. But you can also get very granular data, like data on performance. We could see, for example, who's completed certain assignments. You can always drill down into a specific assignment or test, for example, or survey, and get even more specific data, like who hasn't submitted the assignment, but they did start it. That's the kind of data that's not only available for your own tracking and reporting purposes, but also for the targeted messages that I mentioned earlier. You can use that data for triggers to specific people, make sure they're getting very relevant communications. Now, in addition to tracking performance data, we can also track engagement data. So you'll notice here we're looking at discussions week to week. We could see how engaged are our learners. And obviously, we too did really well here. Now, you can use that insight to dig deeper and see what was so effective about week two. Did we have a great webinar? Was the content super engaging and people just really had a lot of questions and comments for the discussion about it? You're going to be able to see what's working and what's not, and then be able to make educated decisions about how to continue to support that level of engagement. Let's make every week look like week two. Now, if you're not seeing the data you need here, there are a lot of CAN reports we provide out of the box, as part of our analytics dashboards. But we also enable you to get the specific data that you need. And another big differentiator about NovoEd is you can report on all your constituents, not just your learners. So you can run reports on mentors and instructors, facilitators. Maybe you're trying to see how much time does it take to run a program like this. Maybe you just ran a pilot, for example, and now you need a budget resources for expanding that. You're going to be able to access all the data we have available here, and it's not just data that you have in your profiles. It also includes all your interactions, so we can report on things like contributions to discussions, as well as performance, like points on assignments and tests, for instance. And maybe I want to see, how many people found their feedback helpful, for example. And all I have to do to save this new report is just give it a name and hit the create button, and then I can check it whenever I need to get the latest data. So maybe I'm, for example, noticing that when I'm looking at the data, there's something people are having a hard time understanding, for example. So you do have the ability to edit things, even while a program is active. So I can go into edit mode as Denise here. And as an admin, Denise can actually make changes or add new content. Maybe, for example, she wants to add some new images to beautify her learning program here, for example. So she can absolutely do that. Now, when she hovers her mouse over the lesson canvas here, while she's in edit mode, she'll get an add link, and then she can tap on that and see all the authoring tools. Now, you've seen a lot of these things over the course of the demo, like live video events. In fact, Denise just got that reminder about the webinar too. Different types of feedback we provide, different types of assessment we support. There's also things that we provide to just make your lives easier, like templates, for instance, that you could use to build gorgeous content in a very small amount of time. And the ability to also edit your content. So let's say, for example, I want to load a new image. I could do that, and I can then make some changes to it, for example. This is something that a lot of our customers were asking for, and we just actually went live with this earlier this week. So really excited to show this to you, this new image editing feature. So you can load images and make edits very easily. Things like rotating your image or resizing the image, for example. Or perhaps you want to crop it. I really just need the camera that's here, for instance. And I'm just going to crop that out. There we go, and save that. We also enable you to provide alt tags or alt text. So we are 508 compliant. We actually follow WCAG 2.0, level AA, global accessibility standards. So I can add an alt tag that could be, or alt text that could be read by a screen reader like JAWS, for example, or VoiceOver on a Mac, like camera on a table, for example, and then save that. So that was easy. Actually, most of the course or program builders on our platform don't have formal backgrounds in instructional design. So they love the ease of use of those authoring tools to be able to create those engaging learning experiences. So I'm going to stop there, see if you have any questions, and hand it back to Jessica.
Wonderful. Thanks, Juan, for running us through this full demo of the NovoEd platform. That was really great. We did get a question that came in about content. And Juan, does NovoEd provide the content, or will the content have to be sourced from the customer?
Right. We do not sell any content. There's no content off the shelf available from NovoEd, but we can certainly consult you on best practices on utilizing the content that you have access to. And that said, we do have professional services available where we can scope a project and create some content, but we'll handle those requests on a case-by-case basis. Thanks for the question.
Great, thank you. And Juan, can you talk a little bit more about like our LMS integration?
Yeah, so we support different options. So you can integrate, for example, using AICC. It's a very old, basic integration, but very effective for most of our customers. If they want to, for example, just automate enrollment, push their learner registrations from an LMS directly and automatically into NovoEd, and then send data back to the LMS. So that would include completion status and scores. In addition to AICC, we also support APIs. So for example, Cemex is one of our customers. They have a lot of data, granular data, flowing into their Saba LMS from NovoEd and then getting stored in the learning record store there for very deep analysis. So there are actually a lot of different ways we can integrate and help you utilize your LMS as that system of record.
Great, thank you. The last question that I am seeing at this moment, and Juan, just based off of what you've seen and your experiences so far, how much effort would you say it takes to set up an online course?
Sure, it really depends. Do you have something already like designed, like you've already figured out your modules and your lessons? And are you comfortable with the authoring tools that I showed you, for example? As you saw, it's very point and click, drag and drop, so it's super simple. You could build, a new learning experience, in a couple of days. Now, most of our customers, they're collaborating with a big group of people. So we can work with you to scope out, especially your very first program, and provide you basically with a timeline based on your deadlines and specific deliverables. And we can actually not just consult you on how you could do that on your own, because we love to teach people how to fish. We also, again, going back to our professional services team, we have the team of instructional designers available to also do it for you.
Great, thanks so much, Juan. I'm not seeing any questions currently, and I know we are at time, so I would just like to say thank you, everyone, for joining us for a live product tour of the NovoEd Collaborative Learning Platform. We really hope that you were able to walk away with a better sense of how NovoEd enables organizations to transform in-person training and capability building into very engaging digital learning experiences. For anyone who is in the midst of rapidly transitioning in-person workshops into online experiences, I really encourage you to scan the QR code here with the camera on your phone to view our four key steps to move training online infographics. Lastly, if you are interested in learning more about NovoEd or would like a personalized demo, please type yes into the chat box and we'll make sure to follow up with you shortly. If you could please fill out the exit survey upon, exiting, that would provide us with some great feedback. So please take a moment to fill that out. Again, thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful day.